Hi, this is Alex with Maple Leaf Coffee Roasters in Roselle. I'm here today to talk about our April 2026 Club Coffee, a natural processed coffee from Zambia. Check it out. So just as a reminder for everyone, the Coffee Club program here at Maple Leaf is something that we do where we bring in a members-only coffee every month. We roast it 3 different ways, try to send out a bunch of extra information and notes about the coffee. We generally try to choose coffees that are a bit different, more exotic, a little bit off the normal path of things that we sell to the general public. And sometimes we theme it around maybe doing a natural and a washed side by side, that kind of thing. So if you are interested in joining this club, there is a waitlist involved. Just feel free to send me a note and I'll add you to the waitlist and you'll be able to join at some time in the future. So this month we have a natural processed coffee from Zambia. Looking back in my notes, we actually have had Zambian coffees a decent number of times in the coffee club over the 5 or 6 years we've been doing it. These coffees are always a nice change of pace from the conventional African coffee flavor profile. They do borrow a lot from the usual kind of Ethiopian flavor profile. Some of them can be more fruity, some of them can be a little bit sharp and acidic. Sometimes they can kind of have that honey sort of feel to it that you can find in some African coffees. Zambian coffees for me are always a nice alternative to the conventional Ethiopian flavor profile because you do get some of that conventional African coffee flavor, but you don't get the same level of edginess to it that you can sometimes see out of some of the really sharp and acidic Ethiopian coffees. We actually have a couple of Zambian coffees that I was able to pull in for the club. So this month and in a couple months in the future, we are going to have a few different Zambians on offer. This one happens to be a natural processed coffee. So we get the fun mix of different exotic fruity flavors and a little bit more of the sharpness that we'll see out of an African coffee and the nuance and the depth of flavor that you normally see out of a natural processed coffee. So as far as the 3 different roast options this month, all three have a different kind of feel to them overall. This is one of those months where it's kind of fun to see that just the different roast levels do very different things to the overall flavor of the coffee. So our light, medium, and dark have a very different kind of overall sensibility to them, each of them. Though there is some commonality between the 3, there's enough differences and distinctions between the 3 of these that I think it would be easy for a person to find the right fit, right choice for their preference, but also not to see too much similarity between any of these 3. So let's start out with the light roast. The light roast this month has a fun combination of a fruit and a more tart acidic kind of feel to it. It's not a super sharp coffee by any means. There is a little bit of a bite to it, but it's not a very, very sharp coffee at all. That mild acidity does pair nicely with the kind of fruity, little bit of the honey sort of feel to it. In some ways, it does remind me a little bit of a Guatemalan or a Honduran coffee in that honey kind of feel, but it's paired quite well with a tropical fruit kind of flavor, almost like a pineapple feel to it is what I found. There had a kind of fruity, tropical fruit, a little bit of a spice kind of hint to this coffee as well. So there was a cool depth of flavor, something that had kind of like a sampler platter almost of some of the conventional African flavor profiles, with a bit of that kind of sharpness that I know a lot of our light roast fans in the club will like. As far as the medium roast goes, I think this was a fun medium roast for a couple of reasons. It had a similarity to some El Salvador coffees that we've had in the past, both on the regular shelf and in the club. This transitioned more into kind of like a brown sugar, kind of chocolate sort of feel to it. And it retained a little bit of that fruitiness from the light roast that we saw. Though fruitiness was less of a tropical fruit kind of flavor as a medium, turns more like a grape and melon kind of feel. Not quite like some of the more melon-forward coffees that we've had from Central America in the past, but there's still a kind of brightness in our medium body to this that I think was an interesting combination between 2 things. Normally when there is a brightness in coffee, a lot of times that means that there's also going to be a lighter, cleaner finish to it. In this particular medium roast does have that brightness, but it also has a thicker, richer feel than you might expect going into it when you swallow. I did really enjoy this medium roast overall. I think that kind of brown sugar note in it really did give me feelings for drinking an El Salvador coffee, which I have a really soft spot in my heart for. On the dark roast side of things, this is where we turned into our usual kind of dark roast feel. a little bit thicker, richer of a flavor, as you would no doubt expect from a dark roast. This coffee had a really fun flavor characteristic that we don't see in coffees quite a lot, which is kind of like a grainy, almost popcorn kind of flavor to it. It's kind of hard to describe what that actually tastes and smells like until you've had this kind of put in front of your face. But it's a very distinctive element that I think is a really exotic and different kind of thing to experience in coffee. And if you're not really sure which of the 3 roasts this month to go with and you want to try something that's a little bit outside the usual path, especially for a dark roast, I'd say that kind of flavor element alone is enough to make the dark roast a good choice this month. Other parts of this had a very nice mix between both a creamy and a kind of medium body feel. Not quite as juicy or kind of full flavored and exotic as the light and medium, but I think that creamy overall feel was very reminiscent of a lot of dark roasts that we've had before, both in a regular shelf and in the club, that I think will make this, those couple of flavor characteristics put together, the kind of grainy popcorn kind of flavor, along with the kind of creamy feel, is a very interesting combination of flavors to have. This has a kind of medium body to it as well. It's definitely not the strongest dark roast in the world. You still get a tiny bit of like a fruit forward kind of feel to it, a tiny bit of a spice element that's signature characteristic of a lot of African coffees. But you do get that kind of richer, thicker, creamier feel that you just kind of generally see in any dark roast. As I said, there's some really interesting things to choose in all 3 of these roasts this month. I think if you're going to really want something that has that pop to it, if you're a normal light roast drinker that really wants to taste a fun, natural process, non-Ethiopian but still African coffee, the light roast would be a good way for you this month. The medium roast is probably where a lot of folks will net out. Nice kind of chocolatey, but still a little bit of a fruit forward sort of feel to it. But I do think this is definitely a fun month for a lot of folks who may normally stay away from those dark roasts to give that dark roast coffee a shot. So I really look forward to everyone giving this coffee a try this month. And if you are interested in other coffees that we've done for our coffee club, make sure to look back at our YouTube channel for this particular series of videos. And we will catch you back here for another great Club Coffee video next month. Take care.